peace. Why do you think peace is so hard, yet so simple to be with? Having less than half of the world feel peace as of 2023, I realized when looking at Rudius, one of the most problematic characters representationally mirrors and applies the idea of peace as a prize instead of a promise. But being the most turbulent and demented anime I've seen, it's actually the only show I've watched that shows the 3 problems with finding perfect peace. I'm in Orange, in this Isekai inspection, we're exploring why perfect peace is simple but hard to court. Everyone has a different perspective of peace, but being aware and implementing God's character in your life gives you the sense of true unconditional tranquility, harmony, and the freedom of dissension or lies. Experiencing physical, mental, and spiritual equilibrium or balance is arguably the most important aspect in determining happiness. Kinda like you can't make rice correctly without equal parts water and rice. Or you can't be happy when you miss the 3 reasons 89% of the world doesn't sense peace. No one being good except God alone, focusing on the fruits of his spirit, specifically his goodness and peace that transcends all understanding, explains how Rudius and 89% of the world don't recognize perfect peace. Perceptions, the most important aspect of life. Your worldview, including your sense of tranquility, all depends on your perception and trust in God. It's the first reason less than 11% of the world senses peace. If you don't focus on the good, you only trust the bad. You keep in perfect peace when you trust in God, the same way you aren't scared to be alone when you trust somebody. Being Rudius only trusts what he perceives, provoked by Satan to seeing life from his perspective. Rudy Greyrat, aka Anime Sean Diddy Combs, became destitute from physical and sexual abuse. So naturally, you'd see the world from a cracked or evident perspective, because he's been bullied, abused, and hit by the greatest villain in anime history. It's still crazy how a school wouldn't even fix that. Like, that's gotta be a federal offense. Because his worldview goes from slice of life to Tokyo Ghoul, even mirrored in the ideal isekai world, Rudius' peace dries up. First because, above all else, he wasn't guarding his heart. It's like if you wore and or wear glasses. Instead of looking at the 99 of God's best creations, you look at the one corrupt creation. Everything you do flows from your heart, but when he sees the world with this negative perspective, it became very easy to omit the other 2 factors preventing his perfect peace. Especially because factor 2 is disguised as peace, but's actually a deadly sin. Sloth, being the habitual practice of being indolent or being a lazy Tanaka, is the second but possibly the hardest obstacle to overcome in finding peace. Because it's the sin more than 1/3 of Americans, over half of Gen Z, and pre-debut Rudius follow, it's safe and clear to say Sloth makes a man like a hedge of thorns, cranky and a general D1 hater. But because it's easy to get stressed and the life sucked out of you, like a one-night stand with your cousin, or saving your sister who knows your true identity, subsequently, it's also going to be very simple to omit physical, mental, and spiritual exhaustion. It's like if you procrastinate while having a leak in your roof, but because of idle hands, the house leaks. Ignoring exhaustion leads to depression, obesity, among other cases. Because the desires of the slothful kills him for his hands refuse to labor, watching before Isekai Rudius completely neglect his body, acting like it's not a sanctuary for God that dwells in him, and confining and subjecting himself and others to the bikini bottom trenches, he allowed Sloth to creep in through his unresolved trauma. Like how ants somehow always creep in your windowsill, or somehow Rudius always ends up in a suspect predicament. It's easy to miss the signs you're becoming slothful, often before it's too late. But you may be asking, you're only talking about pre-truck Rudius. This was never about Rudius. Sloth being a deadly sin, it'll never leave unless you're actively fighting it by improving this single aspect of your life. But before I tell you how and why a singular relationship secures perfect peace, thanks for the support. If you want to suggest anime, manga, and ideas for future videos, I linked the Google form in my comment. And while you're down there, if you want to support this video, like and subscribe for lessons you need to be happy, and for the merch I'm dropping October 20th. So, where was I? Oh, here. Having a relationship with the true God Yahweh is what brings peace even to your darkest situations. Rudius being secluded and abandoned in both worlds, one after his abuse and another after his one-night stand with his cousin, which still baffles me, mirrors the concept of peace as a prize or something to conceive instead of a promise made to you by God. This is exactly where 89% go wrong. Because the 89% could be focused on this corrupt world, you're looking for peace in a world that is unable to produce it. It's like trying to create candy out of the bark of a tree. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Jesus leaves you with the one promise the devil can't replicate: perfect peace. Having God, who's in you and greater than the ruler of this world, leave the peace so perfect the world can't even replicate it, means you already have peace in you, you're just missing the key to the lock. Understanding you're no different than Rudius, besides maybe this scene,
俺だけ裸なんて不公平じゃんと見せかけて付き合い彼女だったのだ
is the key to understanding you're flawed. The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. And beyond cure. Who can understand it? That's the easiest way to see Sloth's imperfect peace. Because no one's good except God alone, focusing and looking for peace in a world full of the corrupt-hearted is useless. But when you sacrifice certain aspects of your life, aspects that don't benefit you in the long run, I find that's the easiest way to hear God's voice. Being quick to listen, but slow to speak. Focusing on simply hearing God's voice, knowing it, and following Him with the Bible, and realizing whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way. Walk in it." Perfect peace becomes attainable. But you have to know if it's you or God speaking.